I'm Sharon Macklis at IDG Communications, here with episode 60 of Do More with R, Built-in Pipes in R version 4.1. One of the most interesting new features in the latest version of R is there's now a built-in pipe operator. So let's take a look. This is the R pipe that most people know. It's from the Magritte package. And by the way, if you're wondering about the package name, it comes from Belgian artist René Magritte and this painting of his. That text says, "This is not a pipe." So here's a somewhat trivial example using the Magritte pipe with the MT-CARS dataset and a couple of dplyr functions. I'm taking the dataset, filtering it for rows with more than 25 miles a gallon, and arranging it by descending miles per gallon. Not everyone likes the pipe syntax, but especially when using tidyverse functions, the advantages are not creating new copies of a data set and not repeating the data frame name like here, or I'd argue making it easier to read than without the pipe, especially if you have a lot of steps in your code. So let's take a look at R 4.1 and its built-in pipe. Now, if you're not yet ready to install R 4.1 on your system, one easy way to see it locally is by running it inside a Docker container. You can see full general instructions on how to run R in Docker at the InfoWorld link here. Basically, download and install Docker, run it, and then run the code here in a terminal window. Not the R console, a terminal. So let me do that now. I'll run the code with my password. And you'll see the Docker image is starting up. Now to get to R and RStudio, I'll open port 8787 on localhost on my system. So let me click that and log into my RStudio. Now in that Docker code I just ran, I created a volume connecting my Docker container to files on my local system so I can use those now here in this More with R folder. So let me refresh that, find my newest ones, and open my R code. Let me bump up the font size so you can see this better. I can do that by going to Tools, Global Options, Appearance, and change my editor so the font is a little larger. Hopefully you can see that better. Okay, with no libraries loaded, my usual pipe won't work. You can see it can't find the Magritte pipe. But without loading any libraries or external dependencies, this new pipe with that pipe and the greater than character should work. Whoops, I didn't load the dplyr library. Hang on a second. Or I can actually just do that without loading dplyr. Try again. And there we go. So why a new pipe? Making it available without an external dependency is appealing to some developers. Also, it looks like the built-in pipe may be faster. Michael Baraman did some tests. No pipe and the new built-in pipe seem to be about the same speed here. You can see an old implementation of a Magritte pipe, that second row, is quite slow. The more recent one, the third row, is a big improvement, but still doesn't look as fast in this test as the new base R pipe. The Magritte and base R pipes work mostly the same, but there's at least one important difference if you're using a function that doesn't have pipe-friendly syntax. So what do I mean by pipe-friendly? Pipes assume that the first argument in code right after a pipe is whatever the previous code returned and sent along. Here's an example. All right, let me get to my second file here. The string detect function in the string_r package uses the string to be searched as its first argument and the pattern to search for as the second argument. That's pipe friendly because the string to be searched is likely to come from a previous line of code. So let's say I want just rows where the car model name starts with the letter F. Here's the syntax with string detect and a pipe. Filter where the model column starts with F. So let me load string_r and then use that filter. And what is wrong here? Oh, I did not load dplyr. Let's do that. There we go. Now we've got just the cars that start with F. But grepl in base R has the opposite syntax. Its first argument is the pattern, and the second argument is the string to search, which is what a pipe would send along. That causes problems for a pipe, but the Magritte pipe has a solution. You can use the dot character to represent the value being piped in. You can see that in this last group of code here. See the dot? That represents the data frame, which is what's being piped in this line here. So if I run this, it should work the same. And it does. Okay, so the new pipe runs the same string_r code just fine. However, this pipe doesn't use a dot to represent what's being piped in, so the second group of code will not work. You see, I've got an error. And at least as of now, there is no special character to represent the value being piped in with this pipe. In this example, it hardly matters, since you don't need a pipe to do something this trivial. But for more complex calculations where there isn't an existing function with pipe-friendly syntax, can you still use the new pipe? Well, yes. Now, this usually isn't the most efficient option, but you could create your own function using the original function and just switch the arguments around. I did that here with my own new version of grepl, called it mygrepl, and I'm using it and I'm just changing things around so that the data frame is the first argument here. Now you can see I can use grepl as the foundation with the new pipe. Again, I know this is kind of a silly example, but try to imagine something more substantial. Okay, and speaking of functions, there's something else of possible interest in R 4.1. You can use the / character as a shorthand for function. I think this was done mostly for so-called anonymous functions, functions you create within code that don't have their own names. But it works for all functions. If you see here on this first line, instead of the word function, I've just got a \. I'll run that, and that works as well. Finally, one last point about the new built-in pipe. If you're piping into a function without any arguments at all, parentheses are optional with the Magritte pipe. So you see here, I can use tail with parentheses or tail without parentheses. But with the base R pipe, parentheses are required. You can see this works, but this doesn't. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. For more R tips, head to the Do More with R page at bit.ly/domorewithR, all lowercase except for the R. You can also find the Do More with R playlist on YouTube's IDG Tech Talk channel, where you can subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hope to see you next time. Stay healthy and safe, everyone.